Oh, yeah. She's going with somebody, I don't know what the
Yeah,
lady's name is.
yeah, she came in, and I'm like,
Well, grin and bear it.
and that's exactly what I'm
That's
gonna
what you'll
do.
have to do.
I may have to take extra Xanax.
I would. That's definitely buy an extra box.
And why is it that? Is it just me?
No. I, I really think her age is catching up with her. And she thinks, away from here, she thinks of all this stuff. And then she just springs it on you. And it's like, what, wait, we've already talked about this. So it'll probably change again before it's all said and done.
And I mean, at the last meeting, she was there, and I said I would do the door prizes. So don't be. My thing is, if I
Leave
say
it
I'm
all.
gonna do something, don't be getting in my business.
Worry about the stuff that's not being done. What time do you start? 10:30? Now? Okay. Okay, everybody, it's 10:31. Take a seat. Oh. Thank you all for coming. In case you're wondering, this is my first chance to do this. I usually watch you all on the computer at my desk while Young at Heart's going on. So if I do anything wrong, just raise your hand and tell me so I'll know what to do next. Do we have any guests with us today? Yay, Wendy, thank you for coming. Is this anybody else? Is this the first time they've been to Young at Heart? So it's just all of us folks. Well, thank you all for coming, and it's a beautiful day. I've checked the board, and as of right now, we have no one in the hospital. We do have on our continued prayer list board Trey Merritt, so please pray for Trey, who's now on hospice, and certainly for Janie and Sam, and for Trey's family. It'll be a rough time ahead for all of them, and we love them and we'll pray for them. Scott Porter is still recovering in Baton Rouge, and Ted Grow. Somebody told me this week that he'd been eating some, closely watched but eating, so that's a step up, and we're rejoicing with every bit of improvement that he's know of anybody we need to add to the list? Because usually we're the last to know. Okay, we're good. You just remember, if you hear anything and you want somebody on the prayer list, please call the church office, because we're here to pray and to help, and we keep the board updated. It helps everybody. Now, I have some April facts for you. I thought this was interesting facts about April. April is named for the Greek goddess of love, who is Aphrodite. And April has 2 zodiac signs. So if you were born in April, you're either an Aries or a Taurus. April has 2 birth flowers, the daisy and the sweet pea. And April's birthstone is the diamond, you lucky April people. Famous and important people who were born in April are poet William Wordsworth, writer Noah Webster, I guess you could call a dictionary a book, painter Leonardo da Vinci, William Shakespeare, everybody's favorite, and the evil man Adolf Hitler. And we also have some important people born in April, like Gary Hackman, whose birthday was April the 1st, Carolyn Grice, who's April the 13th, Kirsten Welpley is April 14th, Shirley Rutcher is April 15th, Ted Lowry is April 24th, Kay Stevens is April 27th, and Ken Prim ends the month with a birthday on April the 30th. So you people that had April birthdays, congratulations, and I hope they're happy days. Yay. Now I have a game to play because I think you ought to work for your lunch. It's a left to right game, and it's about the Easter story. So I have a little prize for you to pass out. It doesn't matter who starts because you're going to follow the game. There is something breakable in here, so be careful when you pass it. Don't throw it. Oh, no, it's fine. You too. We need somebody else at this table over here.
Speaking of that, I brought you bags too.
Oh, yeah, people brought bags. This is your bag that you have to pass when we tell you to. Now, there are only 2 rules to this game, left and right. Where's your left hand? Everybody got the left hand? Where's your right hand? Okay, you know the rules. So here's the story. You ready? The chief priests wanted to find a way to arrest Jesus right away. Pass it to your right. Right then, pass it to your right, Judas went to the high priest and said he would show them the right man. Right? So Jesus waited for the right time to give them the signal. Later, Jesus and his 12 disciples shared a meal for Passover. Jesus passed bread and wine to his right. I know it's a stretch if you're on the end. And to the left. The bread was a symbol of his body, and the wine was a symbol of his blood. Right then, he said that one of the disciples would hand him right over to the enemy. Right, the other right. The disciple left feeling sad. When they finished their last supper together, they left to go to the Garden of Gethsemane. Left. Jesus left to go pray. Left. And ask his disciples to keep watch. But they fell right to sleep. When Jesus returned to the disciples, Judas walked right up to him and gave him a kiss. The soldiers arrested Jesus right there, and he was taken to the high priest. They wanted to put Jesus right to death, but they could not find anything that Jesus did wrong. Finally, the chief priest asked Jesus if he was the Christ, and Jesus left him with 2 words, I am. Right away, he was found guilty of blasphemy. Jesus was handed over to Pilate. Pilate did not feel right about hurting Jesus, but he sentenced him to death because the people thought it was the right thing to do. Right away, Jesus was whipped, spit on, and a crown of thorns placed right on his head. When they arrived at the right place, Jesus was nailed to the cross to die. There was a criminal on a cross to his right and to his left. After Jesus died, he was buried in a tomb. They wrapped him in linen and left his body. A large stone was placed right in front of the entrance to the tomb. 3 days later, right after sunrise, the women went to Jesus' tomb to rub spices right on his body. When they arrived, they were left in shock. The stone was rolled away from the tomb. The tomb was empty. Jesus had risen. You all survived? Yay! That's your problem. That's why I said you had to know your right hand from your left hand. I wanted to tell you, too, a while back, I think back in the fall, I brought a mat to show you what we've been making for the homeless, and I don't think you saw them with the tie-in straps and the handle, so I wanted you to see what they were like when they were all finished. Come in here. I need a tall person. This is what it looks like with the tying straps, and they're on there pretty secure. Put your arm through there.
Through here?
Yeah, just one arm's fine. See? You can carry it pretty well. I always look for the tallest guy, and Sione and Greg got tired of being my measuring stick, so he put a mark on the door on a piece of tape so I know how tall 6 feet is. But, it's not very heavy, and you could carry it a while and wrap things, but that's what they look like when they're completely finished. And we made a tag, the quilters made a tag to put on it, it's on here somewhere, that it's really a pretty, it's right here. It's really a pretty, oh, we lost it somewhere. Anyway, it says something about, I think it's from Proverbs, it says, we hope your sleep is sweet and that you have good rest. So whomever receives the mat, we think that that would give them an encouragement that somebody's thinking about them. Well, we're on number 7. I've made 5 of them, and it takes me probably a month because I don't get to work on them every day. There's 500 to 700 bags in a mat, and we were having a slow process. You donated bags before we could get them cut, so we asked that you fold them and flatten them because sometimes we get bags that has 50 little bags in a little ball inside, and it takes a while to undo all those bags. So now that you've unfolded them for us, we're doing very well at getting them cut. We're almost caught up. But I think we have 3 more in the works. We're hoping for 10. Yeah, a model. The first 3 were given to some homeless people that Sione ministers to on Saturdays at one of the camps. I can't tell you which one. All I know is he's on the interstate, and I don't know how he gets there. The other one, out in front of the entrance that Dan comes in, down by the choir wing, there was a man that probably the better part of a week slept there. And Dan had to wake him up a few times because he was in front of the door and he couldn't get the key fob to get the door open. So he said, he's sleeping just on the concrete steps. Can we give him a mat? So we took one down there for him. He's not there anymore, so I'm hoping he's using it wherever he is. And then we had some Helping Hands people that came for food, and they, I don't know how the 4 of these people linked up or where they met each other, but the first 2 people invited the other 2 people to stay at their house until they found shelter somewhere else, but they didn't have a bed or furniture or anything, so they gave them the last 2 mats so that they would have something to sleep on in this house, and we haven't heard from them, so I don't know how they're doing, but we'll soon have 4 more ready to pass out. And I really hate that they went to the homeless camp because I don't know how many people were there, but only 3 people got mats, and I don't know, how you tell the other people, I'm sorry, we don't have any more. So that was kind of, so if you're interested in learning how to make these, I have never crocheted anything in my life except this. And if I can do it, you can do it, because I can't read the patterns, and it really doesn't have a pattern. So I'm better at folding and tying, but, you can learn. It's single crochet. Mm-hmm.
So we have that ministry down in our church as well, and there is a lady who takes, my church cuts the bags and whatever, and the lady who crochets them is blind.
Oh, wow.
And we had one, so she does that as well, and they're really nice.
It's really great, and I'm amazed that you all had that many bags in your house.
This is made out of plastic.
It's all plastic grocery bags or store bags. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's hard to believe if you haven't gotten to pick it up and tie it. These little ties. It's very secure. It's very secure, and I really think it can serve a purpose. Especially because it doesn't draw lice or bugs or anything, so you're pretty safe and they're pretty secure it keeps them dry, and it's more padded than I thought it would be, and you could rinse it off with a hose. But I thought even if they were resting during the day, they could put it up against a fence and block the air, or they could sit on it, while they ate, and it would be more comfortable than sitting on the ground. So if you have any questions, stop by, and we'd be happy to give you bags to fold and cut and tie and learn to crochet. That would be great. Okay, let's see. We'll do some door prizes. They said before you like to eat, we'll get door prizes. So I don't know how you did that. Geneva, did you pick numbers? We have 6. That's fine. Oh, okay. 14. Ken. Okay. Right in the white. 3. Money.
We always win.
22. Donna. 33. Woo!
Wasn't it her birthday on there somewhere?
Yeah, Ken had a birthday. Number 1. Who was number 1? Oh, good. Tony, is this part of yours or is this mine? Is mine? 26. Ooh. Jane Cooper, she's back table. Now, if we take a minute to bless our meal, we'll have this delicious chicken spaghetti. I said, can we please have chicken spaghetti? And so she fixed chicken spaghetti, so I'm excited. So, y'all want to sit down first? They give me a different schedule. Is there anybody that doesn't have a name tag? And while we're waiting on these people to sign in and sit down, can I ask Sherry Murphy what month and day your birthday is? We did not have that for you. And Ron? February 22nd? Oh, Valentine's. Is Ray and Dana Tudor, are they here? Lita Smith, is Lita here? Okay. Well, if anybody knows Dana, Lita, or Ray, we don't have birthdays for them either, so we're trying to catch up so nobody gets left out. So if we could bow for a moment of prayer, we'll bless our meal. Lita Smith? No. There's another.
Lita's not here.
She's not here today.
I think it's the 18th, I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I'll find out.
You're right. Okay, can we have a moment of prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for our blessings today, and there are many. We thank you to be healthy enough to come to this program, and we're thankful that it's here at our church that we love and that we support, and we ask that you continue to be with us in our planning, in our coming and going. Bless the food that we're going to eat this luncheon. Bless the hands that prepared it, and bless it to our bodies that we may be always to your service. We thank you for everyone here, for every family represented, and we ask that you be with us throughout this day. In your Holy Son's name we pray. Amen. Let's eat. We eat and then Tony, right? They were saying Tony spoke first and then we ate. But they eat first, right? They don't eat first? Here we are today.
Not done?
It's not done? Oh. Okay. I'm not done. We got a glitch in the plan. Lunch isn't ready yet, so we'll let Tony. I'm so glad I get to be here with Tony Thornton because he's a wealth of information. And I got a couple questions, Tony, because I've got a couple plants and some flower beds that didn't survive the winter. And I'm wondering if we need to plant the same thing or if it's better not to plant the same thing in that hole that nothing came up in. Come on, we're ready.
I'm taking this with me. Am I on?
You're on.
All right. Well, good morning, guys. Got a lot of pretty plants here, right? I guess I'm going to start a little bit different this morning. If y'all got some questions, y'all want me to answer for you guys about anything, planting, stuff that died through the winter, stuff that you need to plant, full sun, shade, anything y'all have. Anybody have any questions? We will have some tomorrow in 1 gallon pots. I just ordered them today. Yep. We will have them tomorrow. Bubblegum petunias, they do really, really well. They grow really big, and they do really well here. Bubblegum petunias. Yep. If it depends on how cold it gets. You know, here in Louisiana, you never know. So. Well, let me look.
They just curl up. Too much water? Too much sun?
I'm not sure on that. Fertilize those some Miracle Grow and see what happens.
I'm doing Miracle Grow.
Yeah, I don't know, because that's not enough. I mean, that could just be regular burn, but just fertilize it and see what happens.
We put some red mulch out. Is anything you can do? Squirrels are digging it up, tearing it off. What can you put in there?
That I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure on that. Google is your friend.
I was worried about my dog in it too.
Yeah, Google it. You might can find something that, squirrels are just, they can get into everything. They got on my bird feeder and was spinning around trying to get the seeds. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Geraniums. Yep.
And I've had rooms like this. And when I bought them this year, I bought the basket.
Yep.
But then I transplanted them. And after I transplanted them, these are the blooms I'm getting.
The rain.
It's the rain.
It's all the rain we got. Ours look like are doing a lot of that at the store. Yeah, and just keep, you got to keep pinching that yellow stuff off of it. But all that rain we got is terrible for a geranium.
What happened, I bought a lot, and I get most of my stuff from you. I bought a lot of it, and I've never had them before. The short stuff,
Xenia?
seniors.
Yep.
I loved them. They
Yep.
were gorgeous.
Yep.
Every one of them had died.
Yeah, it's the water.
It was so
It's all the rain. Yep. Ask Landon how much they pick on geraniums at the store. You pick on geraniums at the store, the yellow leaves and stuff like that. Avocados? They won't make it through our winter, but you could grow them and put them in the garage or something. Yeah, they won't make it through our winters. The geraniums? Oh, avocados. He said, would avocados grow here? I mean, you can put them outside, but our winters obviously get too cold, Hopefully there's no more cold coming, because that's like the enemy of me of Ellis, because we have to bring all this stuff in if it gets cold, and it's not fun doing that, and then put it back out. So, yeah.
I have a question because the price of plants are so expensive.
Yep.
I decided I was going to do some seeds, some flower seeds, just like the old-fashioned way. What is the best medium to use to put the seeds in?
It's been forever since I planted from seed. You need to get probably a peat type medium, peat moss and stuff like that, specifically for seeds.
And what fertilizer do they need to make them
The,
grow?
that when it's coming up and it's growing, some of that could be from the light. It's stretching for the light. That's hard because I don't hardly grow anything from seed, so I'm not really. Google's your friend on that, but I'm sure they have heating pads that you can put under seeds that help them grow properly. You got to get the little shelters over the top of them. Miracle Grow.
For David to build me a greenhouse.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Anybody else? Got any questions?
I do have one. Plumerias.
Mm-hmm.
About the
A little bit.
Okay, first year I got one and it bloomed and it did everything it was supposed to, and then all of a sudden it died. So Lacey went and got me another one,
Mm-hmm.
and then the limbs just, you know what I mean?
Maybe overwatered.
That's what I thought. We'll talk about that when I interrupt.
Maybe too much water. I think I taught y'all. Go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. She was asking about plumeria. That's a tropical plant, and she said they were like falling over, and that's most likely from too much water. And I know I've been here multiple times. I can tell you this: you're gonna kill a plant faster by overwatering it than you ever will underwatering, because you can spot that pretty quickly. In fact, I'll show you. This is periwinkles, and periwinkles do not like a lot of water. And if you look, this is what happens. That's just too much water. And they start out, you can see what happens. See? And so if that dead wasn't on there, you would attribute that to being maybe wilted, and it's not. And then once that cell wall explodes, it can't suck up any more water, so it just sits there and it rots. And that's the greatest thing I can tell you guys. Don't overwater your plants. We have sprinkler systems on everything at Ellis now, and so we just monitor how often they're on, and we have to turn them off. When it's raining, we turn them off. So don't be afraid if you've got sprinklers at your house. If it's raining, turn them off so you have time to dry out. That was one of the greatest things, that when we were hand watering at the store, you get a teenager kid that goes back there and thinks he knows what he's doing, and he's watering every single day. And we threw hundreds of baskets away one year. And so last year we finally put sprinklers on everything, and it works good, but we still have to turn them up and down and off and things like that. So, any other questions? Where do I get the plants? So that's a good question. So we do get plants out of East Texas, West Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, North Carolina, Canada, Michigan. Where else? I say Oklahoma, Florida, California. Yeah, we get them all over. So that's the cool thing about what we've established there at Ellis, is that we have all kinds of growers all over the United States that we can get from. So it's been a blessing. And, I tell everybody this, that I've done this 32 years, and I love the fact that I get to see all these creations that God's created, and there's so many different. Y'all, if I wanted to, I could just order everything, and we don't have the room for it all, because there is so many different vincas, there's so many different impatiens. So that's a regular impatient. They've got spreading impatiens, upright impatiens, sideways impatiens, upside down. I mean, there's so many I can't even think about what I can order and trying to have the room for all of it, but there's so many differences, and they're constantly trying to improve things. Like these are sun patients, these came out several years ago, and they take the full sun now. I've never grown them. Has anybody ever grown sun patients? You do good with them? I've never grown them, so it's kind of interesting. A lot of the stuff I've not grown after being there so long. I just haven't grown some of this stuff because there's so many different plants that we can get. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I know we do this every year, and here in a little bit I'll get somebody to come up here and we'll plant some stuff in these pots and hanging baskets and things like that. So don't be afraid to do that either. You can mix plants up. I tell everybody, someone would say that, you're trying to match colors with plants, and I say do whatever you want, whatever looks good, and customers ask me that. I mean, look at this. This is a petunia, a million bell, and verbena, and look at the different colors. And I think that's pretty, It's whatever you like with colors, you can mix together. You could do that in your flower beds. Just make sure, like I've told y'all before when I've been here, when you're planting stuff, plan out how much sun that it's going to get. So you don't plant the impatiens in full sun. They're not going to make it, right? And you don't plant vinca in shade because they're not going to do well. So make sure you're planning all that stuff out when you're doing your flower beds or your landscaping. And also think about this, because this drives me nuts. In this city, they put all those trees down Barksdale Boulevard, right? They're going to grow into those lights, and it doesn't make any sense because it looks pretty right now, but when that tree gets bigger, it's not going to make any sense. We spend a lot of money in doing that, and I don't understand, anyway, why the city does that and lets those landscape people not look at the plan and go, hey, this is going to get big and it's going to grow in, and we just spent a bunch of money. A bunch of them are dying. They're going to have to replace them. So when you're doing your landscape, make sure you plan first. Make sure you're planning all that out, sun, shade, how big things are going to get. And I've learned something in my yard. I've re-landscaped my front yard so many times, and now I just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this first layer of shrubs, right? And maybe have a second. And I'm not going to have to do anything with those. And then I just plant my annuals. So if you're planting stuff right now, if you haven't planted them, then look, you ain't got to worry about your shrubs. Maybe you got to trim them back, and then you just keep planting your annual plants in the front, and then when they die in the winter, you go and plant your pansies or dianthus or whatever. So think this out. You don't want to have to, unless you just have all the time in the world to go in your yard and spend that time to do it, because when I had my plants in my yard and I had everything everywhere, I realized, man, every day that I'm off, I got to go out there and do all this maintenance to all these plants. Or in the winter, I got to cut all the grasses back, and I'm like, I'm not doing that no more. So, and y'all probably know that if you're gardening and you like to do that, but for me, I'm just like, I'm making this too much work. Any other questions before we get started?
The freeze that we had
Mm-hmm.
in December, some of my shrubs, well, most of them are brown.
Yep.
Are they dead?
So that's that. I think I've told y'all this before. So let's say this was a shrub, and all this is brown at the top. You can take your fingernail or a knife and scrape back the bark, and if it's still green, you might have to cut the top layer of it off. So at the store, we had camellias. They did a number on camellias, and it started kind of coming at the bottom, and we cut the tops of it off, and they're coming back out. Now, it's going to take forever for it to come back out, but if you don't want to replace your plants, cut them back. We did that to azaleas in my yard. They were still growing, cut them back. The cold, knock on wood, did not hurt mine this year for whatever reason. They were up against the house, and they're this big, but when all that snowmageddon came, I was like, they're not coming back. I was going to dig them up, but I'm glad I didn't. So definitely scrape the bark, and because you might have it dead at the top, and you can go down further and cut them off. Unless you just want to replace them and dig them up, you can do that too. But I try to encourage people, if they're still alive, don't dig them up. It's a lot of work and a lot of money. But hey, we'll gladly take your money if you want to dig them up and come back and buy some new. When cold comes through, Ellis likes that because people come out and buy a bunch of stuff. When Snowmageddon came, I couldn't put enough shrubs in that place because so many people lost stuff. But where we live out at Northgate, I pulled all my Indian hawthorns up, and I was questioning up in the front of the apartments. They just cut them all back, and I'm like, them are never going to come back out. This year they finally did. It took them all that time to get back to size, but I guess that apartment complex didn't want to replace them. So, does someone want to come up and plant some stuff for me? Who wants to volunteer? Anybody? I'll let you volunteer. Come on up here, Mr. Ron. Here she comes. I'm gonna let you pick whatever you want, what you want to do. Look, think about your vessels too. Pots, hanging baskets. You can find an old, wheelbarrow, whatever you want to plant. And you can plant in that red Solo cup if you want to. So find you something that you like. It doesn't have to be, really think outside the box. This is a funny story. When I was a stockman, we had, where are you going? Oh, what you want to plant? So we had a handicap bathroom, and we we made it to one, but it had 2 toilets in there, and they took one of the this is crazy. They took one of the toilets and they made an arrangement, an artificial arrangement out of that toilet, and that thing sold. Yeah. And then then I think I was 16 or 17. I'm telling on myself here. I had an old pair of shoes, I guess, in my truck, and I left those shoes on the parking lot. And the manager then, Mr. Larry, seen those shoes on that parking lot, and they turned that into an arrangement. And guess what? Someone bought them. So whatever vessel you want to use, I mean, look at all these pots. You can, this anyway. Just don't be afraid to whatever you want to plant in that you can do it, because I think that makes it unique and really cool. And if you have Google or Pinterest or whatever, look on there and you can find all kind of cool ideas. So you pick which one you want to plant in, and you got the dirt. And then you remember what we said about when you're planting combo stuff, you can put single stuff in here. Look, if you want to make that all periwinkles, do all periwinkles. If you want to come in here, and I tell everybody, there's your thriller plant, then you can fill stuff around, and then you've got the spiller plants that kind of fall over. And when you're doing these baskets, you could actually cut holes right here and let stuff come out the bottom of them. So, and what's the most important thing you got to do first, though? Make sure you pick the same sun or shade plants. And you're the expert, so you know that, right? Okay. So she's going to put this dirt in here for me, and then she's going to pick out.
Need osmocote though, no osmocote.
This got it in it.
Okay.
See, this is Potting Soil Plus.
Okay.
And what she's talking about, there's little time-released fertilizers in some of these soils that you buy, and I would encourage you to do that because it does really help them get the nutrients in on these time-released little pebbles or osmocote that you can add to it. And this soil right here is like really barky, so it's not a bunch of topsoil or sand that's going to hold so much water in it that it rots. It's going to run through it. I started grabbing stuff. That's Althanaria. It's yeah, that would be a
This is
good
something I've never seen. It's called
Althanaria. Yeah.
And under it says Little Ruby,
Yep.
and it's sun to part shade.
Yep.
That's
So
would
that'd be a
my
good.
middle.
There you go. That's Schultz potting mix. So it's got a good mixture of bark and a little bit of soil. It's got Osmocote time release fertilizer in it. It's a really good soil.
And I like to put my little things in there.
So you remind what they
when
are?
I can remember what they are. Okay, how about,
Don't ask me what that is. I just started grabbing stuff. Pelicanthus?
see, this is something I've never seen either, so we're gonna put it in there too. And they're kind of pretty to blend into there,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And we wanna do sweet potato vine? for
Yep.
there?
Sweet potato vine, if you don't know that, that will take over like crazy, and it actually does make a potato in the ground because the first year I ever did it, I was digging them up. I was like, oh, that's why it's called sweet potato.
I'm gonna go some more here, because I want it to be out. And I like to do, ivies. I would
Yeah.
have done probably 2 ivies off of either side, but.
So there's our ivy potato vine that'll all fall over the sides of it. And this one, just guessing here, she'll have to put that in morning sun, afternoon shade, the stuff that you got in there. So, and I like to tell everybody, if you can get morning sun and afternoon shade, most everything will do okay. It's that late afternoon, 1 o'clock on, that will kill and hurt and burn stuff. So. And look, if you need to figure this out, I don't know who told me this years ago. I was like, well, how do you know how much time sun? I said, go sit out in your yard and drink you some tea or something, and look how long that area, the sun stays on it. And they're like, really? I said, yeah, you'll see in how much, sun, that the time that it stays on it.
Okay, so can I put a creeping Jenny in there too?
Yep, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, what else? But the coleuses are more sun, aren't those sun coleuses?
Where? These?
These.
Yeah, but you're going to be okay morning sun, afternoon shade. If it doesn't get enough sun, a lot of times if things don't get enough sun, they'll stretch.
Do this one
Yep.
over there, okay.
Yeah, you can. But See, like that's, you gotta watch the root, you're talking about teasing the roots, because what that does is if you pull these down a little bit, especially when they're root bound, it gets them a good start instead of just sitting there curling up, because when they're in that pot, they're just kind of twisting up, so.
Can I do one
You
more
get a B
second?
today.
Huh?
You get a B today for not breaking the roots.
I never break the rules.
It's fine.
I got a B today. And then I can do a creeping Jenny and that
Yep.
should do it?
Yep. So see, look, some people would be like, that's too many different colors. I say, hey, when that thing gets big, it's going to be super pretty. All that's going to be hanging over the sides.
Stuff that hangs over the sides. There's this dead. Which one? I want that one.
Yep. And this is Creeping Jenny. I don't know if you've ever planted this. This comes back every year. It does sometimes kind of die back a little bit. The cold kind of did it, and it came back, and it runs across the ground, and it's super pretty. Oh, you breaking it up now? Now, you got to be careful, because if you break up some, like a lot of times these little 6-packs won't have much roots on them, and if you go to try to break these up, you're gonna hurt the plant. There's not much root structure sometimes. Looks good. See? She's going to put her, see? Now, it may not look like much now, but hey, in a month from now, it's going to grow and it's going to be pretty. And, take the yellow off.
Use these.
No, we throw them away. All right, thank you. Looks good. I'm going to set it over here. And then when you got done with that, you would water it. You could fertilize it with Miracle-Gro. You're not going to burn anything fertilizing stuff with Miracle-Gro, so I would encourage you to do that every couple of weeks with your plants too. Even though this has got time released in it, you can fertilize with Miracle-Gro every 2 weeks. All right, who else wants to come up here and plant something for me? Anybody? I'm looking for future people to employ. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, yeah. And this, well, actually, both of these are kind of self-waters. They got like a reservoir in the bottom that holds water in them. If you do use self-watering plants like that, be mindful when you water that's down there on the bottom so you don't overwater it. And I would say, I tell people all the time too, they ask, well, how often should I water? Well, that's kind of subjective because I don't know your area, what you planted in, and so forth. So pattern it. Like when you water your stuff, eventually, if you're watching them close enough, you'll kind of go, okay, that needs water every 2 days or whatever, or it's rained, I don't need to water, or it's hotter now I need to increase it. So you can pattern it. Who wants to plant? You gonna come up here and do it? Come on, Landon. I'll let it know what you're going to get today. Black gold. Yep. So that's comparative to it. You know, obviously Miracle-Gro does a ton of marketing. The markup, I mean, I'm going to be honest with the markup for us, the profit margin is not good for us. It's really low. So we decided to go to that black gold, which this Schultz stuff is really good, and that black gold is highly comparative to Miracle-Gro. Miracle-Gro just does a lot of money in marketing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, both black gold has regular soil and moisture control. The same thing.
Cactus mix, and some veggie mix.
Yeah, so comparative, very comparative. Okay, what are you gonna plant? Yeah, making a mess. All right, he's got some creeping Jenny. And make sure, one thing you do too, I guess you did it on this one, that you get your dirt. For me, I always try to get the dirt up high enough so it's not just down, because that could cause you to overwater. Don't get it so high that it's just falling over that you can't water, but get it up enough to where you can see it. Yes. Yeah, I've heard that too. I'm not sure exactly what it does. I guess some nutrient or something that it puts in the soil. Does anybody know that? I know I've heard that before, for sure. Okay, yeah. It's the acid from the coffee. Yeah. Yes, that's rose rosette. So the knockout roses, drift roses, if you start seeing something that looks like a mutation on your rose that does not look normal, dig them up and throw them away, and don't plant roses there again for a while, because they're not going to make it. So rosette disease is affecting knockouts, drift roses, and I think some regular, but mainly knockouts and drift roses is really affected. And it's like your roses are going to look like a mutation. Like I've seen big old thick just branches, and then it just looks odd. So you're going to have to dig them up, throw them away, and don't plant roses back in there, because it'll stay in the ground. For a long time, I think you're not supposed to plant them for over a year, something like that. It probably can, because from what I've heard, it's devastated crops. So if you've got it in your yard, get it out. And there's nothing that helps it. I mean, it just kills them once it gets it. So, all right, he's got a hodgepodge here, but it looks pretty cool. Hey, once it gets big, doesn't look like much now, but it'll get there. All right, Landon. What's that? Yeah, you can put them in pots. That's something too. Don't be afraid to plant in pots. You can plant shrubs. You can plant roses. I've got Kristen's JFK rose in a pot in the backyard. Roses frustrate me because they're a lot of work. So, how long do we got before lunch? I still have time. Okay. All right. Somebody come plant this. Come on. One other thing when we're talking about rosette, I don't know if I've talked about this much too, when diseases on plants and things like that. A lot of times bugs can get on things, or fungus, and we have systemic and spray. So sometimes with bugs or funguses and things like that, you can either spray them, or we've got granular type stuff that you can put in the ground that will suck up through the root system and take care of that. So, and once you notice, if you start having things going wrong with your plants, get on it pretty quick and spray or whatever. I have cannas in my backyard, and it makes me so mad because these worms get on them and they roll up the leaves. So I put, what is it I put on that? I sprinkled Sevin dust, yeah, and that worked. You know, it looked bad on the thing, but I mean, it literally helped. So they were blooming. So when you notice, I was like, why is these leaves curling up? So I was like, oh, it's those little worms that get on them. Yeah, I sprinkled them and then I've watered them and I put it back on there so it would kind of go down in there. And it's helped a ton. Sevin dust. The old good old Sevin dust. Yep. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you can get a liquid fungicide and spray them. I think you can get a systemic that's like a granular, so you'll put it around the bottom of the plant and it sucks it up through the root system. We should. I'll look and see. We should have that. And that works good too because it gets in the plant like hibiscus. And now they're putting it in there before we get the plants. They had problems getting white flies on hibiscus a bunch, and so we put systemic stuff every year. We, as a stockman, I'd go out there and throw this stuff in there and have to water it in, and now they're putting it in the plants so they don't get those white flies, and white flies will do a number on hibiscus too. So stay on top of. It's systemic, so it sucks it up through the root system.
And what's the name of it?
It's just different. We've got different ones because you have some for like vegetables, some for annuals and stuff, and you'll have to read like the label because some things, especially with vegetables, there's certain times before the crop produces that you don't want to eat.
Is that sun?
Yeah, you can put it in there. Yep. And I know I've told y'all this before, and y'all are going to kill me for it, but I do it. You don't have to. So I planted these Titan Vinca in my front yard. It's the third year in a row that I've done. These are actually core, but Titan Vinca also has polka dot like this. And so I take mine and I pinch them back, the flower off of them, because it makes it bushy. I've had really good luck with Vinca, and so you can do that. It does help make them bushier, in my opinion. Y'all, this is actually now that we're talking about disease. See that? On the back of that, it's got a fungus starting on this from all the water. Yeah. You'll spray it with a fungicide. But that's all the water. So the sprinkler system, we have to be real careful with at the store because we can overwater stuff, and that's a telltale sign. So see, they look good, but then all of a sudden they start going down. You're like, oh, what's going on? And Vinca are not forgiven if you overwater them. Neither is zinnias, and you can lose them quick. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Maybe 7 dust will probably work too. That stuff gets on it and they don't like it. What do you think, it was a grasshopper?
No, it was just like a little fruit fly type.
Okay. 7 dust would probably work, or you could probably spray it too, but I don't know off the top of my head. Again, you have to be careful with what it says you can use it on so it doesn't hurt them. But 7 dust, I'm really impressed with that. As I started getting stuff, I was like, this is working because they're gone. Or on the plant too. I mean, it's going to look not nice for a little bit, but once that gets on there and they start walking on it, they're not going to come back. 7 dust.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Prim. Yes, if you look, and I'm not sure that we carry it, there is a systemic fertilizer and for bugs for roses. And I can't remember what it's called, but it fertilizes and takes care of the bug. I don't think we do. We're kind of limited on, but I can find out and let you know.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Helps them. Yeah. Look, she did a good job.
And it's all
That's
for
it.
sun.
Yep. That will take, and that's all sun plants since we got the sun patients there too. So pretty. Are we all ready? What do y'all want to do about giving them away, or y'all got numbers? I really think enough, we should have enough in here. I think, how many people are here, you think? Should have
55.
enough for
I think there's
everybody to get a
55.
6-pack of all of these plants, the 6-packs. So everybody should be able to get something, and then the other stuff, the hanging baskets and stuff, I don't know if y'all want to draw for them, or,
I'll draw for them, huh?
do y'all have names that we can draw for?
She's, pick a number.
Huh?
Just pick a number like I did, and she'll look on
Oh,
the sheet.
okay. All right, number 3.
No! Oh, we already
Okay.
did. Oh,
You can come by and I'll get you this. How about that? 1 through what?
55, I think.
55. 55.
In the kitchen.
Okay. All right, Carol Smith, you got this one. 40.
Woo! Betty Smith?
Number 30 on this hanging basket. You want me to stick it right here? Where do you want to stick it?
Margaret.
Where's Margaret?
Right there.
There you go.
No, over there.
Why am I going? You raise your hand. I don't losing my. All right, 25 for this monster wave petunia.
It's big. Kathy Moore, woohoo!
Yeah. Sure. Yep. And we'll do this one and then the rest. Number 12.
Corbadine.
There you go. That's going to be morning sun, afternoon shade. I think that's it. And the rest, everybody should be able to get one of the 6-packs, and
Yep. And good luck with them.
that's good. All right.
Thank you, Tony.
You're
The only-
welcome.
The only better thing was if I could take Tony home with me. But I might work on Landon. He was pretty good with that plant and
Okay.
stuff.
Yes,
But we always learn something new, and this brings back memories for me because when I was a youngster, I lived with grandparents and great-grandparents in the same house. And every Sunday we took flowers to the cemetery, and they were flowers that we grew in our yard. So I have a passion for zinnias, and I like it when they have the big zinnias that you can cut and bring in the house because the blooms stay so long instead of the little tiny ones that doesn't fit in a vase. So I'm always interested in the flowers, and I didn't have real good luck this year. The frost or the cold killed all my azaleas in the front yards. I don't have any. I'm starting over again. But thank you, Tony, for all the information. I found my tag, so before you eat your lunch, this is what the tag says. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. And I hope that for all of you. Have a good day. Somebody's tea. Ooh, it smells so good.